Hello, I have Selena here with me for another lesson about the composition of the earth. And I know that this is a different angle, but we were trying to get a different angle because I have something big to share with you. And so we needed more space to work in. So we've been talking a lot about the barosphere, and we've talked about this chart, and we've talked about the function or the work of each of the layers. And we've talked about how the barosphere's work is to hold everything to it. The heaviest, the heavy sphere. And we talked about the lithosphere and how that's the stony or rocky layer where we live and grow our food and farm and school and all of that. And then there's the hydrosphere, which is made up of all of the water on Earth, all of the rivers, the lakes, the oceans, the glaciers, the groundwater, all of the water. And then the atmosphere, which is the gas layer that surrounds the Earth, so the stuff all around us. And so today I want to talk about the idea of how thick those layers are. So when we are thinking about the barosphere and the barosphere chart, we have to think about how big the Earth is. And so from the center of the Earth to the crust is about 4,000 miles. And so that's pretty thick, and that's just halfway across. That's from the center to the edge, not all the way across. And so we need to think about what that means. So if we're thinking, we're going to talk kilometers because kilometers are mathematically and scientifically easier to work in. So the diameter of the Earth, the length across of the Earth, is about 12 and a half, almost 13,000 kilometers across. And so that's the width of the barosphere. Then the lithosphere is only 35 kilometers thick. So that's very, very small. And then the hydrosphere, if all the oceans and all the lakes and everything were gathered into one layer, it would be just 11 kilometers thick. And then the atmosphere, which surrounds us, it's the gases, the airs that surround the Earth, that would actually be about 100 kilometers. So about 10 times as thick as the hydrosphere. But it's really important to note that the atmosphere is very thick, but we can't use all the atmosphere for life because we need oxygen, and the oxygen and the concentration of elements in the atmosphere for life is only the closest part here to where we live, the close to the surface, and that is only about 12 kilometers thick. So the usable part of the atmosphere is about the same as the hydrosphere. And I just threw a whole bunch of numbers at you, and I didn't show you anything to write that down. So I want to show you a way to represent that. Here I have a meter stick, and I know it's a meter stick because it's broken into 10. There's 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters, 30, all the way to 100 centimeters. And it's not the inch side. The inch side looks like this. It's this side that has the centimeters marked. So when we're looking at the proportions of our four main layers, we've got the barosphere, which takes up most of the Earth. In fact, if we started this, if we put all the barosphere all together and we measured it, it would start us at 0 and stretch us all the way to here, which is 97.8 centimeters, 978 millimeters, or 97.8% of the Earth. Oh, you can't see that, I'm sorry. Of the Earth is the barosphere. I didn't color it red because that would have been a lot of Sharpie. So or any marker. So let's pull this back. Of the Earth, this stick represents the Earth. There it is. All the way to here, to that line, is barosphere. Now you can see here I've marked, ooh, it's hard to see. I marked the brown layer right here. That's the lithosphere. It's kind of also the blue layer. The lithosphere only takes up a half of a centimeter. 5 millimeters makes up the crust of the Earth. And then the hydrosphere, and that's why they look so close together, the hydrosphere makes up 2 millimeters or 0.2 centimeters. And so that's the blue. You can see there's a brown layer and a blue layer. The blue layer makes up 2 millimeters or 2% of the Earth. And then everything left is the atmosphere. So you're like, whoa, the atmosphere is pretty thick compared to the crust and the hydrosphere. But this yellow strip right here at the end, that is the amount of the atmosphere that has oxygen in it for us to survive. So if this is our Earth, if this length of this stick is representing the Earth, how much of the Earth, all of this, all the way to there is barosphere. That little strip of brown is the crust. That strip of blue is all the water on Earth. And that is all the gas that makes up the atmosphere. And this little yellow strip is the oxygen-rich atmosphere where we live. So that kind of puts into perspective how big the Earth really is. If the crust and everything we live on and everything we need to, if we look at the crust, the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere, all the things we need for life, it's a teeny tiny little bit of what really makes up all of Earth. I will put a picture at the very end of this video. I will put the measurements on there for you to do if you want to follow up with more information about that. It's kind of interesting to think about the percentages and how big the Earth is. I know that when I learned this, when I had this lesson for the first time, and we went, the barosphere, I kept thinking, what? Until we got all the way to the very end, and there's only this tiny little bit for everything that we know and can see, right? Because we can't know it. We don't know. We don't see any of this. We can guess. Okay, so maybe you want to find out more about the layers. Maybe you want to find out more about how thick the layers are, like more information about what's within those thickness of the layers. I can't wait to see how you follow up and share your learning with me. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.